storm made quick work, the power line down the street.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the studio, except as you can see, we're not quite in the studio yet. I've just got back from helping my grandpa shovel his driveway. Most of the snow has actually started to melt, but this morning it was still a lot of snow on the ground, and I don't think that his driveway would have fully melted without being shoveled anyways, so it was still a worthy cause. But I got that done this morning, and now I'd like to work on a commission painting that. But first I wanted to share my recent reads with you because they've been pretty decent, and also it's a new month, and so I wanted to share my January reads with you. So in January I read 3 books, and I picked up a couple of new ones from the library, so I'll share those with you because those will be my next 2 reads probably. One of them is my current read. So the first 3 books that I read, I think I rated them all like between a 3 and a 4 star. So like pretty good, not my favorite book ever, but not bad. I'd probably recommend or read them again. And so the first one was a Christmas book. I finished it, I had started it in December, but I finished it in January, and it's Mistletoe and Magic by Helene Sula. I enjoyed it. It was a cute story, and I liked it. So it was about a girl who was kind of discovering herself, and I like those types of stories, so I enjoyed that. And also it was set in London, and then also a town outside of London. I think it was set in New York mostly. And so I liked that, having gone to London this Christmas, so I found it to be very relatable in that respect. There was an element of magic, as said from, you could see from the title, that I'm not sure was necessary for the story, to be honest. I felt like the story would have kind of been better without that part of it. I don't know. The magical element was not ever fully explained, and it was kind of left to your imagination, which was totally fine. But I think that it would have been just as powerful of a story without that aspect. I'm not really sure that that was like plot driven or what the purpose of that part was, because I felt like other than that, everything else was extremely realistic, and that part maybe wasn't necessary. So maybe I missed something, I'm not really sure, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. I just didn't really quite understand that part. And there were a few like grammatical things that weren't quite good with the book, but overall I thought the story was really good, and I thought the imagery was good. There were just like a few little things, and I think because this was her first novel, like fiction novel, I think she's written before, but I think this is her first fiction novel, and I think that showed a little bit in some of the decisions that were made. Overall, I think it was really good, and I would recommend it at Christmas time for like a cute Christmas, very festive novel. So I would recommend it, and I hope she writes, maybe not with these characters, but I hope she writes another book, because I think that as she writes more, those little issues that I had that kind of like didn't really detract from my liking the story would go away as she like becomes more seasoned. So hopefully that was kind, but that's my opinion. The next book I read was Shady Hollow, and this one is by Juno Black. This one is a book about it's all like woodland creatures are all the people, like the characters are all woodland creatures, and it's about a murder that has taken place within Shady Hollow, and the main character is a fox named Vera, and she is a reporter, and so she is like trying to solve the murder. And overall I really liked it. I can't say I loved it, and I don't exactly know why, other than like there were a few things like I don't know why, but I think because it was written as an adult book, the woodland creature characters, some of the things that went with that, like for example, there was like one of the characters was a sheep, and she had a like mistress type relationship with a beaver, and so like there were things like that, like that I found to be kind of hard to wrap my head around. I don't know. And so because of that, I feel like I didn't love it. I liked it. And there are more books in this series, and I can see myself maybe picking them up in the future. I'm not running to go get them though, if that says anything. But I've heard a lot of people really love these stories. I just don't know if it was for me. Like I said, I gave it like a 3.5, so it's not like it was bad. I didn't love it. I think I had really high expectations for it. So the next book that I read was Snow and Rose. I also feel I had very high expectations for this one. I don't know what to say about this one because overall I really liked it, but I think I was on the edge of my seat the entire time because I was afraid that something bad was going to happen. And so I don't really love that feeling, and I think maybe if I had known more about the type of story it was going into it, then I would have enjoyed it more. But I think I was just afraid that something bad was going to happen, and also I predicted the ending very early on, but then I wasn't sure if that was going to be the ending because I was afraid something bad was going to happen. And so I was kind of on the in between knowing what was going to happen the entire time and also being nervous the entire time. So I don't think that I fully enjoyed it as much as I maybe would have had I been in a different headspace. So that's why I think it got like a lower rating than I might have given it in a different circumstance. So I don't know. I think I'm not the right person to tell you how good this book is, but basically this book is about Snow and Rose, and they are two little girls that something has happened to their father, and so they have to move into this little cottage very early on in the story. And then the little cottage is right on the edge of this kind of forbidden woods, or like where bad things happen, or like it's just very mysterious woods. But they adventure in the woods and kind of meet different friends and maybe foes throughout the story and sort of go on their own little adventures. And it's sort of about that, who they meet, and also kind of what they discover about the woods throughout the book. I don't know. I don't want to give too much away because, like I said, I found out, or like I sort of realized very early on what happened. So I don't know if that's a common experience with this book, but I liked it, but I don't know if it was as good as I wanted it to be. Normally whenever I read books, I feel like I'm of the experience where I like really enjoyed it and would highly recommend it, and that's where I normally am. And I would recommend all three of those books, but I've yet to read a book where I'm like, yes, this is the best book ever. So this year, so normally that's not my experience. Normally I'm kind of like a gentle critic when it comes to books, but I don't know, maybe I just haven't been in the perfect headspace for these stories, or maybe they just aren't. Maybe they had a lot of hype and they didn't live up to it for me. I don't know, but those are the three books that I've read so far. And now I'm currently reading a book I got from the library, and it's called The Christie Affair. One of my friends recommended it to me, and I'm about a little less than halfway through, and so far I'm really enjoying it. It's totally different from the first three books I read of the year. The first three books, I think, kind of lended themselves to a more whimsical genre, whereas this is sort of more of I think I would call it historical fiction. It's based on Agatha Christie and a time in her life when she disappeared for like 10 or 11 days, and I think that really happened, but of course this is a fiction story told by Agatha Christie's husband's mistress. So I'm not sure how much truth there is to the story. This is not like a nonfiction story. However, I think it's sort of like the Titanic, where like it happened, but like maybe all the details are fabricated and like more, I don't know, entertainment type details. So anyway, I think it's really interesting so far. I think that it's interesting that they've chosen to write it from the mistress's perspective. And so, of course, that adds another layer to the story. And also, I think I like Agatha Christie as a character, and so it's kind of interesting. I don't know. So, like, the way that the main character, which is Nan, who is the mistress, talks about Agatha, I really appreciate that she doesn't like talk about her in a negative way. Like a lot of the time in novels or in movies or wherever, in media, the mistress speaks very negatively about the wife, and that is not the case. And so I think that makes it a more enjoyable read, because whenever my friend told me about the book, I thought it would sound partially good and partially like, wait, what? So I wasn't sure what to expect, but I'm really enjoying it so far. So depending on how it ends, we'll see how I actually like it. But so far, I am really enjoying it. And I would really recommend it. So I'm thinking this is my favorite book I've read so far of the four. But I'm only partway through, so we'll see how it ends. Because sometimes that can really make or break a book. So, and the other book I got from the library is the third installment of the Thursday Murder Club. I'm really loving that series, and so I'm excited to pick up the next installment. I don't really know anything about this one. I just know that I really love the characters from the first 2 books. And I sort of was like sad when the second one ended, because I don't know, I just kind of like, they just become like your little friends. And so I was excited to pick up the 3rd one, but I wanted to wait till after the holidays to get a library book because I knew that I wouldn't have a lot of time to read. And so now I've got my library book, and after I finish the Christie Fair, then I'll read this next. So that's it for my little mini book update. Let me know what you're reading, or if you've read any of these books, what you thought of them. And I think now I'm going to make myself a cup of tea and get started on painting my landscape commission that I've been working on. I've done the sketch, and now it's actually time to paint. So while that's my favorite part, it's also the part where like you can't erase. And so I think it's time to actually get to it. So I think we'll do that. And also after that, if I have the energy, I need to set up my new printer, because I had to get my old printer fixed, but instead of fixing it, they just sent me a new one. So I really couldn't believe it. But knowing how much technical difficulties I normally have whenever I bought the printer, I bought like the Geek Squad protection, and they just replaced it. So I had very good forethought on that, knowing myself and knowing my luck with technology. So I'm really grateful for that, but I need to set it up. So I don't know why I find that to be a really daunting task. I feel like it's not as big of a deal as I'm building it up to be. I mean, obviously I set it up to begin with when I first got it. So anyway, first the commission, and then if I feel up to it, we'll set up the printer too. But let's make a cup of tea and get to painting.